This is Duelist bringing you the first battle of this campaign on TC Dam. Antares is in a Harasser A, Ben in a Bushwhacker D, Kentax in an Oro D, Mechwarrior in a Rifleman A, Dark in a Madcat B, and that is for the attacking team, representing Duchy of Small. Defending as the Capellan Partisans, Gnome King and Osiris A, Marius in a light APC with 3 spawn lives, Bob in the Epona A, Serpentis in a Vulture D, and Burner in an Atlas Prime. The two teams are on their 4th map today. The Wolverines Rebirth side had a clean sweep on some close battles in the previous campaign. There are around 5 planets remaining in the Duchy of Small control, and we are running down toward the end of that faction's involvement in the Chaos March. It will only probably be a matter of time, as unless the Duchy of Small is able to take off a ridiculous string of victories attacking planets, they are being attacked from 2 different sides. We may have a hold. We do. So let's talk about TC Dam while we wait for the players to come back in. You'll notice this is a large map with its namesake, a large dam. There are 3 crossings, that being the first of them in the middle area. We then move up to near the main part of the dam up here. And you can, didn't see this before, it's very interesting. This is a half a blood asp as a kind of a monument thing. This is very cool. Oh, there's a bunch of different mechs in here. Let's take a look around here. What do we have? These are the cockpits. The Osiris, the Raven, the Uziel, Bushwhacker, Mauler, the mighty Fafnir. So that must be the Inner Sphere side. And I suppose that there will be a bunch of clan mechs over here. Let's take a look here. We have the Cougar, Puma, Shadowcat, Thor, or the Loki. Call it a Thor for good measure. Of course, the Mad Cat. And the Nova Cat. So this is interesting. TC Dam, there's like this monument park in the middle of many of the torsos in the mechs in game. Now, this is the other extreme end of the map, and if you go over here, you've got an opportunity to play some shorter range brawly or medium assets. If you go down into here, you're definitely forcing short range, lots of cover against missiles and whatever the enemy can throw at you. The downside of this is that you are on one far end of the map, and your radar may not work very well. And additionally, as you can tell, it was very hard to get visual scouting from that position. You can see the river running through the good portion of the map, and it's definitely an interesting place to travel. The dam does break up the river, but it is more than easy to maneuver around it once you get past the dam. As you can see, the water is not terribly deep up here, but once you get past the reservoir, you can see that the dam is an imposing sight. You can see that the dam is quite an imposing sight up there, and the river not terribly deep as you can see, and in fact it's not going to provide as much cooling efficiency as I was first led to believe. I figured, hey, it's a river, you'll be able to come in here and get very good heat efficiency in these type of things, but not so much the case. And as we go to the extreme outside of the map, you can believe this is out of bounds at this point, but you can see that the river does get larger and a bit more depth, and then as you go off the edge of the map, well, you know, the ocean. This is definitely out of bounds at this point. I believe that's the edge of the map. Anyway, unfortunately, it looks like that we've had a double crash, and so you can also see that we're having a couple of disconnects on our end. So hopefully it'll get cleared up and hold up here. This server graciously donated by Wolverine's Rebirth Burner. Runs it in out of his home in a spare computer, and it is centrally located in the world, so that's the one that we utilize alongside the Hunter server, which is a good server as well. We were over using the Hunter server earlier today for the first couple battles, and then a few players were having some issues not being able to connect, so we came over here. We like to use the Hunter server when we can because it enables us to have a couple more streamers than normal to get more video angles, recordings for the game. I am going to check in with the teams in a moment because there's a possibility I might have to come in and sub as the 5th pilot. Oh my, yes. Anything above a 200 ping is not desirable. Certainly want to enable everybody to play if they can, and luckily the asset that pilot with the high ping is in is something that can be shot at, and also he can register damage shooting at something. So let's see Mechwarrior come in and rebuild his asset. He will come up and join the team. As long as it holds under 400, it'll be playable. It won't be ideal, but it'll hold. It's also possible to play against a higher ping. You can do what's called lag shooting, which is expecting the pilot to kind of move in a certain place, and you'll shoot ahead of it. And certainly back in the days, way back in the days of previous incarnations of this game, that was the normal, having to lag shoot rather than having the nice modern netcode that we have on our games these days. Of course, that's 2 decades worth of work separating the two, so you certainly would hope that there would be some improvements. We are going to basically assume that the match will not much time has gone by. The video will be the official determining factor of that, but I think for all practical purposes we can say that we're maybe a minute in, if not 2 in. So the two teams will still have the vast majority, close enough for the 30 minutes that I think we'll have a full battle here. Now this map is interesting because you can play short range if you stick near the dam itself, but it's also, due to the size, more than possible to play at long range. So let's follow the attacking team, the Duchy of Small. As for all practical purposes, we start the match at 76:00 and can say that we're going to end it at 48:00, give or take. They're having Antares act as the scout and the harasser hovercraft. His weapons are all long range, but they also only work from 180 meters out to 1,000. So you have to be careful with this particular asset. Very interesting spot he's on here. Top of a hill toward the back of the map, which is a very an underused strategy to come to this part of the map. But as you can see, very good sight lines, especially if you have enhanced optics, which I believe the riflemen and perhaps the Oro have. They have long-range Gauss and missiles, complementing their largely medium-range distance for the bulk of their weapons, and they're attempting to make use of that range, and so they're setting up far down here. Antares acting as the long-range scout, if you will, visually, while the rest of the team is slowly moving up and deciding where to make their move. As they move into the dropship, we will now switch our focus to the location of the defenders, and we will find out how long we will wait before we have contact. And see, this is a very beautiful map, in my opinion. I believe that this is a very well-made map, very interesting concept. I do believe that it does not get played very often due to its sheer size, but certainly somebody put a lot of love and effort into this, and whoever made it were more than gracious that they provided this wonderful setting for an organized battle. As we follow Burner's Wolverine's Rebirth team, consisting of representing the Capellan Partisans, we see that they are moving up into the dam and attempting to also utilize some range here. You can see Serpentis here in his Raven keeping an eye out, and this was one of the fears with discussing the strategy with some of the players beforehand, was if the teams decided to set up on certain edges of the map that it could be a while before contact, but at the same time anticipation is most of the fun, and sometimes the Gnome recharges his jets to get up on top of the dam. You can see just how tall this is. A mech is not a short thing, even though an Osiris is a rather short mech compared to others, and you can see Gnome just how far he has to go up. You have to get close up to not waste your jets, but at the same time, oh, they got up there all in one. Nice job, Gnome. So we'll see that Burner's team's going to gladly wait toward the bulk of the dam on the northern end of the map. And let's move in and just see how much distance is separating our two teams right now. Patience can be a virtue in this map. We can see that the attackers have decided to move on from the dropship portion of the map. They have decided to move a bit north and west, up in toward the starting point for the defending team. We assume that the base turrets are off, so you should be able to move throughout the map. Pretty good cover here, and certainly even back here on the very edge of the map, lots of places to go in. So our two teams are moving toward each other. You can just see that even perhaps with something like a solitaire, where you would be running around, this map certainly takes a time to get around. And so our two teams, our attackers moving in unison, trying to stay in a basic formation, letting the Mad Cat and the Rifleman take the lead while they decide to where to go. You can see they could head off left, they could head out down into the valley. They're trying to make that decision. Dark is trying to get the confirmation from the team leads. They've made the decision to move left. Antares is acting as the scout, and from here, don't think he could necessarily discover the defenders. The nearest asset that he would have been able to see would have been Marius over here in his battle armor, which has 3 total lives, and even with enhanced optics, that would have to be one. That would be pure luck, being able to see. Let's follow Marius for a little bit, see what his strategy is here. As we see the puffs of smoke coming down from the jump jet. Marius, one of the top battle armor pilots in the game. This little thing is hard to hit, hard to detect, but goes down if it gets hit directly, but at the same time it can regenerate its armor, can use its maneuverability to its advantage, and can certainly be a major asset. They're also able to provide scouting to an extent, and also laser targets with something called a tag laser. And I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. Bob having, oh my, Bob, you're lucky you didn't get stuck. He's an excellent pilot. I'm sure he would have figured out how to get out of there. But Burner telling his team to fall down, and you see just how high up that is. Death for a human, definitely. But certainly, if fall damage was a thing implemented for mechs in this game, that would have ended badly. So he's sending Bob out to scout. and we have contact. The two teams moving up. Now Bob is going to take forever to get back up that hill. So if Burner is facing a team that decides to rush, this could be a very quick battle. Antares, I believe, is... Okay, yeah, Burner realizing this, saying, let's get the hell out of here. So they will... Very few times you'll see verticality be a changing environment for a battle. But certainly in this case, Burner's saying, let's reposition, and I am entirely impressed that he's keeping Serpentis up here, I guess, to draw their fire while they reposition. They have set up shop in a close-range fest. Serpentis attempting to trade some shots. Will he get stuck? Okay. This is a protected walkway. Okay, Serpentis knowing exactly what he's doing. Got me scared there for a second, my friend, but also another part of the map that's you can utilize, and now the two teams know what they're facing. Perhaps exchanging some gunfire, but certainly not enough to turn the battle at this point in time. And now the attackers will decide if they wish to give chase, or if they wish to stay in this position and wait it out. We are probably about a third of the way into our battle, maybe nearing the halfway point, so still plenty of time for action. We know where the attackers are. The defenders now deciding to move south, while Gnome comes up and provides possible visual. I was very surprised to see Bob ordered to head down, and but I now see what they were doing. They were trying to keep their position hidden. They probably at this point do not know what Bob, and perhaps even to an extent Gnome King, are utilizing. They certainly know what Burner's in, and they're considering they shot him, and they know what Serpentis is in. Now the interesting part about this list is that the battle armor is dangerous and contributes to the list, but it is not what's considered a carrying asset, which means that it's not something that is considered that if it's the only thing remaining for a team, that it could carry the battle, that it could achieve victory. And because of that, the two sides have a 5-4 advantage in terms of carrying assets. In other words, if the battle armors that's all left for Burner's team at the end, that means that the attacking team would get the victory automatically. But the advantage, certainly for taking the battle armor, is that it has 2 respawns for a total of 3 lives, compared to anything else, which once it's dead is gone from the battle. Hopefully we won't have any more disconnects or connection issues, because at this point, since the battle has been joined, there will be no holds granted. There will be no stoppages in play, except for anything that would, like if the server completely went down, for example. Marius is now deciding how aggressive to be with his battle armor lives. He is moving up to attack. Fire off his PPC if he lines up the shot. Certainly get a sense of scale, just how small this battle armor is. He is now getting out his tag laser, which is interesting. I don't detect any missiles for Burner's team, but I could be mistaken. The Vulture could be a long-range asset. Marius being very patient here. Marius is able to use this to attract missiles, so they'll fire missiles toward him. And then he can do one of 2 things. He can either fire the laser continuously, and then the missiles will just track instantaneously, or to be a bit more stealthy, he can wait for the missiles to come overhead and then draw them in, and they will follow his laser, and thus not setting off a missile warning as easy. The only way you will hear a sound, kind of a buzzing sound, if you're being hit by this laser device. And if you switch to infrared, you can see the laser. But as you can see, missile lock now, so they definitely have some long range. Oh, that's the ATM. The ATM So we have the two teams fighting. We have the riflemen and the Mad Cat unloading some serious weaponry. Not to be undermined, Serpentis is unloading ATMs of his as well. They're directing the missiles in over Marius' head. And the idea is if Marius wasn't under fire, to redirect those missiles in. He'll jump up and like whip them in like that. Mechwarrior and Dark Wolf taking some serious fire now, and so they're trying to get back while their teammates provide cover fire. And Tari's quickly moving in to try and support with missile barrage. You can see it's no different than driving a car on a highway at this point. So he will move in, and they've lost the Mad Cat. Nope. Okay, they've lost the rifleman. So carrying assets are now 4 to 4, but that is still a lot of damage per second and firepower lost here. They are having Ben move in, and he is gonna take some serious damage. Not entirely sure Ben's strategy walking in to a 5-on-1 situation here, but perhaps trying to close the distance with the missiles and have his team support him while they move in. I apologize, but I'm having a rough time trying to decide the placing for the camera right now. Bob moving in, and Ben is as good as dead. I believe he's trying to close the distance on those missiles, but unfortunately for him, it was bad, a bad placing. The other team had better positioning on him, and now it is just a matter of patience and how much they want to play the odds, because at the moment they really don't have enough firepower with which to finish this battle. That said, these are highly respected and skilled warriors that have a lot of pride, and they will certainly move in and attempt to fight bravely and gloriously to do as much damage as they can before they go down. If that Mad Cat is still in pretty good shape, it can certainly screw some things up, but he will definitely need cover from Antares. Antares needs to get missile fire, and unfortunately it looks like Antares is all but stuck. So let's see where the Oro tank, Warlord Kentax, attempting to get in to absorb some of the damage. He's moving in to assist his friend, the Mad Cat. Antares may or may not be stuck up there. We have not seen any missiles rain. He has 2 tons of ammo refills, so he definitely has enough to come in and fight. And we will move in and see that Gnome King, oh, bad time for a disconnect. Gnome King is attempting to get in there, and the battle's joined, and well, Antares is just about dead, and they are launching missiles in on the tank and the Mad Cat, and now Antares is trying to get some distance to utilize his missiles, but fortunately for him, he is a bit stuck. He's going to move out. He wants back in the battle. He'll be back shortly as we decide to move in and see how quickly Burner goes for the kill. He has an Atlas, he has an Epona, he has a battle armor, he has a Vulture. He says, "Men, let's move in and finish this up and get a coffee break." While Kentax and Dark certainly have some significant firepower and armor, will move in and do what they can, attempting to take turns to soak up the damage and take off as many shots as they can. Unfortunately for them, Bob is setting up crossfire at this point, and it is just how many shots can we get off, and a matter of pride at this point to get the kills. Warlord Kentax deciding to move in, did as much damage as he could. Now the Mad Cat will be teamed up 5 to 1, while the Harasser will be attempting to get a firing solution, but given the amount of cover, it will be difficult. The match does continue, so let us follow our friend wherever he may be to see how long he decides to draw on this out. He certainly did a shitload of damage. Excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen. Duelist Edit 1. They did a number of damage to each other. That Mad Cat and that Oro certainly destroyed much armor on the way down, and Antares will have to decide just how patient he wishes to be, and oh well, Wolverines made the decision for him. So The Wolverines continue on a tear today. 4 battles, 4 victories. This is Duelist for the Chaos March Network. We will see you next time on the Chaos March. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a good evening.